Hello everyone, and welcome to I Found the Mahdi. We are joined here right now with a very beloved sister of ours. Her name is Klaudija and she's here from the United Kingdom. She came here to visit us today and we wanted to hear her story and share it with the world and the viewers out there. How are you doing, Klaudija? How are you?
I'm blessed. I feel very blessed to be here. Thank you.
We're so excited to have you on set today. Can't wait to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely amazing to have you. And I think, the last interview you did, Alia, was so amazing, and I'm sure this one will be amazing as well. It's so good to hear from the people in the flesh. I know you've been in the background watching the shows, learning about the dawah, learning about the call, about Aba Al-Sadiq, and now you're here to talk to us in person, so we're delighted to have you.
I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Klaudija, you're from England, but originally, where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Lithuania.
Okay.
Which is in Eastern Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's next to Poland and Latvia and yeah.
So you're originally from Lithuania and you are now a believer in the riser Aba Al-Sadiq, you're a believer in the call from Mahdi, and you're a believing sister from our global community of brothers and sisters that we have around the world. But you weren't always a believer in this call. You started off very differently and you've had such an incredible journey. We were listening to you talking about it earlier today. And it's a beautiful, long story that everyone should really listen to because it's quite inspiring. So why don't you tell everyone what it is that you first were? What were you, when you were born, what did you identify as?
So I was born Christian, but I was only Christian by name. We never really practiced Christianity, like, going to church and reading the Bible. Yeah, and then I heard about Islam from my schoolmates.
How old were you then?
I was around 12 or 13.
Very young.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And and I got interested. They would talk to me about the stories of the prophets and about Islam, and and I slowly got enticed, and slowly I got interested, and I felt like it was right. I felt like it was the truth, and because I always believed in God, so and it made a lot of sense, and that's how I.
So you were born and raised in the UK. Your family background's from Lithuania, is that correct? Or
Yes.
Yes. So whereabouts in the UK do you hail from?
Peterborough.
Peterborough.
Yeah, I live in Peterborough. I lived in Peterborough ever since I came here.
Okay.
So yeah.
And that's where you went to school, and your first kind of, you were, I guess, nominally Christian. You wouldn't necessarily go to church, or was there some kind of practicing of Christianity when you were growing up?
No, not really. No, we never really went to church or read the Bible. We were just Christian by name.
So was that exposure, it kind of first happened when you started going to school, high school, 12, 13, that kind of age, when you came into contact with people who were from an Islamic background? That kind of triggered your interest in religion in general, is that right? Or?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. And I converted around the age of 12 or 13, and my journey started from there. So
could we ask, what was it that made you say, hey, this has to be it, I have to convert? I mean, you were very young, very little at that age, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl saying to herself, I'm going to change my religion altogether. What was it that was so convincing for you at that point?
To be honest with you, I think it was... I was quite naive when I was young. I'd believe in everything, and I remember somebody telling me that all non-Muslims go to hell, and that kind of scared me. So from there on, I was like, I have to convert now because otherwise I'll go to hell. So I'll be honest, like the most initial reason, like I converted was like out of fear, but then after that developed into like understanding. Over time, I was actually able to understand the religion, and yeah.
So was it like almost like peer pressure from your circle of friends at high school that would kind of get you to? I mean, they presumably they knew about your background and that you were non-Muslim, so they were kind of.
Actually, the first time I heard about Islam, it was not even school. It was in my neighborhood. My neighborhood friends. I think I was like 9 or 10, maybe 9 or 10. And I remember one of my friends, they told me like, oh, we're gonna go to this house, but you have to pretend you're a Muslim. So yeah, she was like, oh, you have to pretend you're a Muslim. And when we went there, they thought I was Muslim, so they could tell me like all this stuff that they wouldn't tell to like non-Muslims. And so
interesting.
Yeah. So they said, so this girl said that, oh, like, not all non-Muslims go to hell. Yeah. And then, like, that really scared me. And she told me, like, she scared me so much. She told me so many, like, horrific things, like, about jinns and about, you know, that jinns come out in the night. And, yeah, from there on, I was really scared. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's an unfortunate introduction into Islam, isn't it? When in the Quran it says there'll be, you know, Jews and Christians and Sabians who will be in the hereafter, and so yeah, unfortunate beginning. Where did it go from that point of view, from that angle?
Yeah. So so after that, I kind of forgot about Islam. After that, and then again, Islam came into my life from friends in school. They would talk to me about stories of the prophets, and you know, and I was really interested. I was like, wow, that's like amazing, you know, like it's very inspired. I became very inspired, and then after that, I would ask questions from my teachers, like my Muslim teachers, and I would like read books as well. And I remember, like, alhamdulillah, this is like Allah. He sent me all these people. There was this woman that I would meet like once a week, and she was, bless her, she was so busy, like she was working all the day, all the time, and she was very stressed, but she would always dedicate at least one day a week to to teach me about Islam.
Wow.
Yeah, bless her. I still remember her.
In what sense? She would teach you like Arabic, or would she teach you about the stories?
Yeah, so she would teach me about the rules, about like, you know, like about like that you have to say Bismillah before you eat, and she would teach me about what Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, like Allah Akbar means, and like just like the basics. And she told me like not to lie, not to steal, and she just told me like the basic stuff. And she was like, she was quite old as well. She was very older than me, but bless her, she was so patient with me at the time because I was so young and like immature. But
how old were you at that stage where you met this lady?
I was around 15, 16 maybe. I don't
That's again very unique, isn't it, Aliyah, that at 15 years of age you're like taking one day a week to spend time with this lady to learn about this religion that you felt an attraction towards. Yeah. It's unusual, isn't it?
It is unusual. And this is, what kind of Islam was this? Sunni, Shia?
This was Sunni.
Sunni Islam, right. So you were learning the basics of Islamic practices, basically, and you were trying to understand the Arabic terminologies. And at this point, you're 15 or 16. And then what happens?
And then it's quite a blurry story. I don't remember everything clearly. I would like, my journey was like a roller coaster. I was like up and down, and I feel like now I'm gaining my balance. Now I'm more like this. But like before, I was like down, and then I'd get up a little bit and back down, and I struggled a lot, you know. But yeah, I had, from then on, I had phases where I would be really strong on my deen, and then like I'd fall off again, and I'd like, you know, just yeah. And
how would you describe being strong on your deen? Like, what does that mean?
Like praying 5 times a day. Obviously, we don't do that anymore because of the 7th covenant. But like praying 5 times a day, and reading about, you know, learning, being patient with people, not backbiting, controlling myself, being mindful of my tongue, and being mindful about my intentions, and, you know, like the thoughts that, you know, that I entertain. Yeah.
And did you decide to wear the hijab at that point, or was it later? Because I know you did wear hijab at some point in your life, didn't you?
Yeah, so I started wearing the hijab around, I think I was like 20, so that was 2021, I think.
2020, would it be?
It's actually 2021.
Okay.
The beginning of 2021, it was around March, April time.
Okay.
And then that's when I really got inspired as well, because I got introduced to what's his name? Oh, this really famous imam, like Sufi imam.
Okay. Based in Peterborough?
No. He's he's like ancient. He's quite like from
the
time
UK
ago. No. He was
like a classical
from
scholar of some
Arab.
sort?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was his name? He's a Sufi imam.
Oh, you mean like somebody who taught in the mosques, not like an old-time scholar?
No, I'd read his books.
Oh,
like
Ghazali.
Yeah, thank
there
you.
Go. Okay.
Yeah, it was Ghazali. He really inspired me. Like I feel like he reignited my faith again and like my heart, and that's when I started to learn more, and that's when I started to take my deen seriously again, because before then I felt like really bad. And that's like when I got inspired again, and then I started wearing the hijab as well and learning Arabic.
Wow.
Yeah, I started learning Arabic so I can understand the Quran.
Were you part of the community in Peterborough? So you became a part of the Muslim community in Peterborough, because obviously it sounds like you were surrounded by a circle of friends. You had this lady who would teach you once a week. Did you feel like you were plugged into a community of believers or a faith that gave you that balance and steadiness in your life at this point?
No, not really. I was quite. I'd say I was quite like a lone wolf for like majority of my life. After my 20s is like when like kind of like the veils came off and I was able to see everything so clearly. I didn't even want to be around people anymore. I remember like I cut everyone off from my life, which I kind of regret at the moment. Right now, I wish I didn't. But I just went really extreme. Like I went like really extreme, and I kind of secluded myself.
Extreme in like esoteric Islam and Sufi Islam?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and
you were clearly very invested in making sure that you're on the straight path or the right path, and you were doing your best to gather whatever information you needed to stay on that right path that you were trying to look for, essentially. But were you fully satisfied with where you were, what you knew of Islam and what you were seeing around you? Did it make sense? Was it connecting with you? Or because you did mention having these ups and downs, right? So is it connected to that in some way?
So no, I was never really satisfied. I always felt like this void inside of me that like, I don't know, like I always wanted a guide or like somebody just to guide me, like someone I can look up to, and I felt quite like lost still, because and I remember I traveled to some places to like actually meet like imams, and they let me down afterwards after I saw that they were actually like like phonies and like fake, and like their true colours got revealed, and that kind of let me down. So I kind of lost hope. I was like, you know what, what's the point anymore,
Wow.
Yeah, so
you travelled within the UK, like you used to look for these spiritual teachers and guides, as you said, and you were hoping one of them would be the one that would make you understand the true religion that I guess you were seeking.
Yeah.
But it just always fell flat, huh? When you finally met these people.
Yeah, it just made it worse for me, Like, I remember I wanted to like practice the tasawwuf because that like really interested me. Yeah. And so I went to Morocco to see this to see this imam, and I went to his zawiya. Do you know what's a zawiya? No. It's like a worship place where everybody worships Allah, but in there it's like, because tasawwuf is all about like fighting the nafs and like winning, like letting the spirit win over your nafs. But over there it's like it even made it worse for me, because they say they're Sufis, but in actuality they're actually like worshipping their nafs, because like and like it was harder for me to practice tasawwuf there than in my own house.
In what sense were they practicing? When you say nafs, for anyone listening, the nafs is basically like the ego or the self. So for you to see that, what did you see that made you feel like they're worshipping their own egos or nafs?
So the sheikh there, he would put these big massive posters of these like government officials and like Moroccan politicians, and I remember there's a hadith, that if you see an imam, at the doors of the government, then know that he's a liar. So I always remembered that, and like,
Interesting.
yeah, and I saw him kiss a woman's hand as well, and she wasn't his.
Mahram.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was from Iraq, and she was just translating for me, and she was. They had no relation. She was just there like visiting, and she was there like maybe a week more than I was. And I was shocked, you know, but that just comes to, you know, comes to show that, you know, no matter how much you try to hide your true self, it always oozes out in every way. You can't contain the nafs. It always like comes out, you know.
So you saw the hypocrisy, basically.
Yeah, and like they used to waste a lot of food, and they were very extravagant in, you know, like they were very extravagant. They'd eat so much and waste so much food and have like, you know, yeah. So
you weren't satisfied with that at all?
Yeah, and I remember as well, like, they were like, so you know about the 3 Yomul beads, about the 3 Yomul beads that you have to fast the full moon, like once every month.
Right.
So I remember the sheikh, he was like, oh, like on the last day of Yomul bead, he was like, oh, you don't have to fast today because like we spent the whole night in dhikr. And I was like, what kind of tasawwuf is that? Like, you're supposed to push yourself, and like, you know what I mean? And
of course,
know, yeah. And so I was just shocked that I just ran out of there. I was supposed to be there like for 4 months, but I only ended up being there about not even a week. I literally ran out. I felt sick to my stomach.
How long did you say that? Did you say?
Like less than a week.
Less than a week. That's all it took you to smell. It was something not quite right. But that's a big step to take again, right? To fly to Morocco to learn from like a Sufi saint or something. But how old were you when you went to Morocco? Like what age were you that you made that big decision?
I was about, if I remember correctly, I think I was about 22.
Okay, so again,
22,
quite young, of course.
21, 22.
Yeah, and this was like a program, like a 4-month program where you are supposed to stay there with these people and do this communal dhikr and worship and learn from someone. It's a 4-month thing that you signed up for.
No, so you can just go there and stay for however long you want.
Okay, so it wasn't like a paid program or something where...
No, you don't. They don't take money from you. Okay. It's like all free. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point now you felt dissatisfied by what you saw in Morocco and these spiritual guides, so-called spiritual guides, who are trying to basically teach people, but they don't really have God on their side, do they? Because they haven't been divinely appointed, and they're trying to assume that role of authority, and this is not something new, right? We've seen this happening over and over again. But you didn't like what you were seeing and you left, which was very wise of you, I think. I mean, you saw that there was something off and you decided to make an active step to dissociate from it. But where did that leave you now? I mean, now you don't really have something you're holding on to. So did you come back to England at that point?
Yeah, I came back to the UK. So, yeah, I lived on my own during that time. I had my own place. And then I moved back to my mum's. And
what were you feeling like now? Like, what were you considering yourself to be right at this point?
I was still Muslim. Like, I was still holding on to my faith. Like, but I wasn't very strong in my deen because, you know, like, I didn't have a guide or anyone to guide me or any. So I let my nafs like win over me, and then I just fell like flat on my face. I just fell completely. I completely fell. I still prayed like 5 times a day, and you know, wore my hijab and everything, but like my iman was like really low at that point. And yeah.
What about your parents? How did they feel that our daughter's converted to Islam and then she goes to Morocco, she's taking part in these Sufi gatherings and then she comes back dejected? What was their response to this situation?
So they never really understood me, and they still don't. They don't understand me at all. So it was quite hard at first when I first converted. They would like rip up my books. If they found them, I'd have to hide my books. And I remember
that's very difficult.
Oh yeah, and I remember my sister. She took scissors and like cut up my like prayer mat and like my and my prayer clothes as well. Yeah, it was really hard, but
yeah, that must be that feeling of being kind of separated and not being accepted for who you are. It must have been quite difficult to go through that.
Yeah, but you know, in the Quran, Allah says that, you know, with patience and prayer, like, you know, so I always just, you know, been patient, and I always like prayed for Allah to guide them and to make it easy for me, and He did, you know. And everything comes in time, and alhamdulillah, like after some time, I don't know, maybe it took about 4 or 5 years it took them to accept me. I don't know.
That shows some tenacity though, right?
Yeah.
So under that kind of pressure where you're having your prayer mat ripped up and your books ripped up and things thrown away in the trash, you still...
I feel like after some time they got to their senses, they came to their senses, and they realised like, oh, you know what, she's her own person, you know, let her live her life how she wants.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And they actually they accepted me so much afterwards, and alhamdulillah, like that's all from Allah, that they started like buying halal meat and like...
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah, and they started considering me with like, you know, like family parties and like barbecues and that, and they'll be like, they'll buy halal meat, and yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is very nice. I mean, you were obviously having to be very patient for a while, but that patience seems to have borne some fruit, hasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
So what happens now? You're in this religion, you're considering yourself Muslim, but you're not so invested in the practices. Every now and then you are, but you keep having those ups and downs. At which point did you come across this path, this call?
So actually it was through Brother Taimur, bless him. He's like such a sweet soul.
He is.
He's like one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yes,
like
he
literally.
really is.
Bless his heart. But we met through Reddit. So he messaged me saying like, oh, you know, he was asking, he was like, you know, he messaged me saying, oh, you know, you asked for guidance, and you know, God sent me to you. And at first I was like, yeah, whatever.
What does that mean, you asked for guidance? What happened? What's the backstory to that?
Oh, so I'd like share on Reddit, like my stories and like my feelings and everything, because I feel like Reddit is a really good place of support, you know. I'd go there for like support and to ask for advice, and yeah, so I'd kind of like, it's a place where I could be like, yeah. So he messaged me, and you know, and he shared with me about this religion and everything, and I thought to myself, oh, it's just another sect. There's so many sects, like oh, it's just another sect, like it's just like whatever. I'm not interested, you know. But he kept pestering me. He was so persistent. He was so like determined, and like I found that admirable, to be honest. And I kept telling him, yeah, like I'll reply tomorrow, and I kept forgetting to reply. But he never gave up on me. Like I wouldn't reply for a month, and then he would pop back in like, hey, did you get a chance to, you know? And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, he's not going to leave me alone. He's not going to leave me alone, so I might as well just like give in and, you know, see
what
read what he's sending, basically.
Yeah. So I watched the first videos I watched was about the 7 covenants, and that, like, I was like, wow. That's insane. Like, I had no idea. This is crazy. Like, all this time I was lied to, I was manipulated, I was deceived, and I had no idea. Like, I used to look up to like all these people that, you know, yeah, so
people from the past, like historical figures of Islam that are maybe highlighted as very holy and divine, but they were part of a very political system, I think, right? That split that happens, that you find in Islamic history. Because I've experienced so much, like I've travelled a lot, I've met a lot of people, I've met all different types of people. So I built like this skill of discernment. I have a very sharp discernment, so I can always see if someone's lying or if someone's like being deceptive. But when I looked into the Imam's eyes, and when I heard him speak, I could see that he's being authentic and sincere. I knew straight away. I was like, when I opened my heart to actually listen, you know, without any judgment or any, you know, anything like that, and then I was able to see that he was actually truthful, and then after I was hooked. I was like, I couldn't stop watching his videos. I've watched like nearly all of them now. Amazing.
Some of them I watch over and over again. And then I asked Allah for a sign. I said, I said, "Ya Allah, if he's the truth, then give me a sign." And I swear down, like the next 2 days, I saw like these two like bright flashing lights. Like when I closed my eyes to go to sleep, it was like the first light I saw was like this bright white light. It was really bright, and it was like a flash. It was really cool. And the second one, it was like a yellowy light, and it was really bright. And I felt like a lot of the issues I was having just kind of went away. And I was like, why do I feel so at peace? Why do I feel so good?
After these lights appeared to you?
And it's like, because I was at war with myself. Like I was literally being pulled left and right, and I was just always, I did not feel any peace or like any happiness or anything. And I was like, this must be a sign. Like, why do I feel so at peace and like I feel so good? And you know,
we call it the sakina, the tranquility that descends on a believer when they find the faith and when they find the imam of the time. That's what you're describing there.
Yeah. So I'm alhamdulillah. I'm so blessed. I'm so happy, you know, to have found the truth. And and I remember I always used to pray, and that I meet my imam, and I finally have. And also I remember I always used to wish, like, oh, you know what, it'd be so good to live in the Prophet's time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I was like, you know, it'd be so good to live in his time. I was like, I wish I lived in his times. Like I always had that desire, but now this is even a better time to be alive. It's a very unique, special time we're living in, because you know, like this is a very unique time we're living in, because we've never experienced such times, you know, where humanity is evolving and you know, where the evil is finally being slowly banished and you know, removed from the earth. And you know, and I want to give my all to, you know, supporting the shift and to help in you know, in supporting in the shift, and you know, sharing the truth and bringing more people into the light.
God bless you. God bless those words.
Yes, bless those words. I'm really curious to explore this thing when you went on Reddit. I'm a little bit older, I'm not in the Reddit generation yet, but I think I'll get more involved now, because it seems like it's this forum where you can actually talk about spiritual topics and spirituality and things like this. And you had clearly put something out there that caught the eye of Brother Taimur, and he must have seen this yearning in you, whereas such a young person at you know, early teenage years, you're exploring a religion that is completely alien to you, coming from a Christian background, and you take that leap. And then you explore and learn about the religion, and even though you're fed some horrible things that are not really true about Islam, you still persevere on this path. Now, you are clearly a spiritual seeker, and we know that it says, Jesus said, seek and you shall find. And you eventually ended up on Reddit. What kind of sort of thing were you putting up on Reddit that caught the eye of Brother Taimur? What were you asking? What can you share with us that, or is it?
Do you think you could share it? Awesome.
Yes. But I don't really remember like word by word, because a lot of the posts I deleted because I'm like, I was like, that's kind of stupid. I shouldn't have put that, so I'd like quickly delete them. But I don't remember. I think it was something along the lines of like, because it's a place where I could be vulnerable, because no one knows me there. It's like I'm a stranger on that place. So it's like I could like literally pour my heart out and just be vulnerable. Yeah. You know, and share people how I feel, you know. And it was something along the lines of like, I feel really lost and confused, and I don't know like what my purpose is, and you know, I wish I was like I didn't even exist because it's too hard.
I remember this conversation that I was having with Taimur, and he was mentioning how what really worried him when he read your post, it was something along the lines of you were speaking to God and you were asking for an answer, saying, God, why don't you answer? You were asking him why he doesn't answer you. And that was what made him say, oh my goodness, we have to answer her, because of course Taimur, as a companion of the Imam of the time, would want to be that person who would answer this person seeking an answer basically from God. Yeah,
he said that's what kind of grabbed his attention, this yearning that you had to hear from God. So tell us about that. So you were writing basically your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think it was a post I made about, it was like, I wish I could just, it was the title of the post was, I wish I could pack my bags and just leave and just like go and get lost somewhere and like never come back. And it was like, and I put in the post, I was like, what was it? It was like, oh God, you have to just make me a way. I'm like, you have to show me that I can trust you. And I know I can, but you just got to show me that I can.
Isn't it interesting that God did answer you?
Yeah.
I mean, we know, and this is our belief, that the Imam of the time is the voice of God. He's the hands of God. He's the one who represents God. He's that vicegerent, right? He's the one who has the Spirit of God in him. So there's no other way that God would really communicate with us actively right now in this realm except through that man that he has appointed, and for him to have these companions who are also communicating with that Imam, going out there talking to people. It's incredible how when you asked God that question, he made sure that one of those companions saw your plea and actually answered you. And then you yourself actually did read it and you explored it. Isn't that amazing? It's just so wonderful.
Yeah, and he said as well, like, I saw myself in you. He was like, I think we're related in the soul world because I feel like I've known you for like so many, like for ages.
Yeah. And there you are sitting here right now, part of our global family, part of our soul family.
Yeah, I feel like I finally found my tribe. Cause, I feel like I don't even know you guys, and I feel so connected.
Oh, we feel connected to you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
we really do.
That's it. Yeah, and I think as Alia was mentioning, this is a crucial part of our creed, which is that God, in His infinite wisdom, in every day and age, He speaks from behind what we call a veil, and that veil also has, as Jesus says to His disciples, "Go be fishers of men." And I think at that time, when Taimur read what you were writing, it kind of really resonated with him, because once he too was on a spiritual path to find God, and he surely did, and you must be related in some way, shape or form, because you as well followed suit.
Yeah.
And yes, so tell us about this. Then you get to, you watch all of the videos, all of the Divine School of Mystery.
Not all, but most.
So can I ask, just out of curiosity, because I love hearing people talk about the series. Please. Everyone has something that resonates with them a lot or really impacts them a lot when it comes to the teachings of the Riser Aba Al-Sadiq. What was it from the videos that you watched that made you go, oh wow, this is like incredible? Because when you were describing it, you were saying, I was amazed by what I was hearing. What were you so touched by? What were you so impacted by what he said?
Just how he exposed all the lies, and also about incarnation as well. About incarnation, about soul
this
world.
Thing, before we go on to the soul world incarnations, and trust me, I want to get into that as well, but this idea that you said that you felt betrayed, you felt lied to, because here you're growing up from a Sunni background, and you're learning these things about certain companions of the Prophet Muhammad. You're reading Ghazali, who was also like a guy who is a specialist in tasawwuf, and then you come to this gate, this crossroads, where these personalities are being spoken about. How was that transition? I mean, because to jump, I also come from a Sunni background, and to make that jump from Sunni to the Ahlul Bayt, it's a big jump.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a big... You know what? I never imagined I'd be a Shia, ever.
Ever, right?
I never...
I know exactly what you mean.
Like, I had no idea. Like, I'd never imagined myself being Shia or, like, drinking wine or taking my hijab off. Like, ever. Like, this is crazy, you know?
Welcome to the Seventh Covenant.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Incredible. So you loved the fact that he was actually exposing what wasn't true, because you had struggled through that darkness of untruth for your whole life, looking for a light that could be shining, and now you found someone who was speaking nothing but light, nothing but truth.
And I was shocked, you know, like I was literally like, I was shocked for days, and I still am. I can't believe, you know, like what happened in truth, you know. It's crazy.
Regarding the history?
Yeah, regarding the true history. And like a lot of people, they don't know. They're just blind.
It does shake you, right? To find out that these people that you really looked up to once in history were actually the reason why there's a huge split in Islam, and why the Ahlul Bayt of Prophet Muhammad were so oppressed. And then you find out the culprits of it, and all this time you were told they're such great people. And it does shake you a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
That was quite a jump you made, but you made it safely, you've landed well. And you mentioned reincarnation as something that really fascinated you.
Yeah, because I went through a phase where I was really into this New Age stuff. Some say it's like demonic. I don't think it is.
What do you mean, like Eastern religion, New Age kind of movement?
Just about, you know, like about enlightenment, and you know, like I'd learn from saints. I'd read like books of saints and that, and about like enlightened people, and yeah. So I got really interested in that, and they would talk about incarnation there as well, and I was like, that Islam doesn't teach that. I was like, that's a big, you know, like difference, you know. So I was a bit, yeah. So I was a bit, you know, wary. I didn't think. I thought it's a bit fishy. I don't know if that's true, you know.
What's not true? That it's not the fact?
Yeah, I thought it's like maybe it's not real, because you know in Islam it's like, you know, they say that, you know, like incarnation is not real and that.
But when you say saints, like you mean like Islamic saints who are talking about incarnations?
About
or?
Indian saints, so
okay.
Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj. And
so you were a Muslim who believed in reincarnation?
I didn't at first, but then the Imam Aba Al-Sadiq, he confirmed it for me. When I heard him talk about it, I was like, okay, yeah, now I definitely now I definitely know it's true, you know. But
amazing.
Yeah, it's shocking though. Like, there's so much we don't know, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot we don't know. And you watched the Seven Covenants series, the first 6 covenants, the Everlasting Supper. You watched the School of Divine Mysteries, and there's a lot in there, of course, to like take in and to learn about. And I'm glad you've seen that, because it really does strengthen the faith of a believer. And you must have had that impact watching the Riser Aba Al-Sadiq, watching him speak, watching him teach the world. Obviously, it affected you very strongly, but what did you see him as when you were watching this? Did you realize what you're seeing? What was he for you at that point on your journey?
So I could sense that he carries the spirit with him, because just the way he, you know, the way he carries himself, and he's very, like, what's the word? He's very, what is that word?
Composed.
No, it's like very...
Sure? Certain?
What's that word?
Maybe you could describe it?
Yeah, he's like very purposeful, you know, like everything
determined?
Everything he says and does is like, it's with a purpose. It's like he doesn't play around or, you know, talk rubbish or, yeah, and it's like, I could just hit the way his words flow and the way he carries himself, and I could see he doesn't have like a big ego or anything like that, or I could see he's sincere, and yeah, and
it's true actually. When you reflect on watching Aba Al-Sadiq, like precise and purposeful, and he has this poise, doesn't he? When the words come out, you're like, wow, subhanallah, it's this one A to Z. It's like every single talk, every single lecture and sermon has this clear message, and it's one step, second step, third step, destination.
Yes.
And it has that kind of impact on me at least, and I'm sure those watching Aba Al-Sadiq feel the same way.
No, definitely. And so you watched the series, and then you felt like you're a believer in him, but what point were you saying to yourself, okay, actually, I believe in this now? Because now this is a whole new leap of faith that you're about to take, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was literally like the first video I watched about because I opened my heart, and I was you know, I was being willing to listen, and without any judgment, just listen with my heart, and you know, because the heart knows, always knows, you know. So yeah, it was like after the first video I was like, yep.
And the first video was the one on the 7th covenant.
Yeah.
This is the one where Aba Al-Sadiq is in the basilica, and he's
and I was in absolute awe. I was like, wow, he's amazing. That's like,
he is amazing.
Yeah, and yeah.
Well, you know, Klaudija, you watched the Riser Aba Al-Sadiq in these videos, and you came to the community, but you got to do something very, very special. You actually got to meet Aba Al-Sadiq, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was amazing. I was gobsmacked. Meeting him in person is something different. Yeah, I was very nervous, but yeah, it was really nice to meet him, and he gifted me with some gifts as well, which I'm so grateful for. I mean, nobody's gifted me such nice gifts before, like, so I'm really grateful. Yeah. And
Well, what was your first thought when you laid eyes on him? Was it you were able to focus, and did you have a conversation? I know we can't get into the contents of it maybe, but
yeah. I wish we spoke for longer, but he's a busy man, you know.
Yes.
So.
Well, he is the savior of mankind.
Yeah, bless him.
But he sat with you. You were talking for a bit. You received that gift. You got the Goal of the Wise.
Yeah, he signed the book for me as well, which I'm very grateful for. And what did we speak about? We just spoke about stones, and I told him that his special stone looks a bit like a Petoskey stone.
Right, can you talk about that a bit? So you're talking about,
I want to know.
This was regarding that community post, wasn't it? That was made on the Mahdi Has Appeared channel.
Oh, yeah.
And anyone who's watching right now, let's quickly plug this in at the moment. We have got exclusive content that appears on the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel if you have subscribed to it. So make sure that you do so, because when you subscribe, and it's less than $1 a month, you're actually actively supporting very important causes around the world that have to do with taking care of minorities, persecuted people, and of course spreading this call and the call of Imam al-Mahdi. So make sure that you do so if you haven't done it. Also, you get to see really incredible content that you won't find on the channel, the main channel as a whole. You'll have to go and subscribe to the exclusive content for it. But it was one of those posts where you saw that stone that Abu Sadiq from his piece posted a picture of. And what was that? Can you tell us what that was like for you? Because I know that you're very, very fascinated by stones.
Yeah. So I told him like, oh, it looks a bit like a Petoskey stone, but he was like, no, it's not a Petoskey stone. It's similar though. It's very similar, but it's very unique because it's literally translucent.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you put it in the light, it's got this like translucent hue, and it's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and then I asked him if it's more powerful than Moldavite, which is like supposed to be the most powerful stone on this planet. Well, it's a tektite, and he said it's different energetically, but yeah, I still have to ask him actually about that.
Yes, and you can learn so much from Abu Sadiq about stones and gems and these materials, because that's one of those subjects he's very well versed in, very much.
Yeah, I think this is something that Abu Sadiq from his piece has spoken about, and it's something that he wants to get into, because to be honest with you, when I first came across this topic coming from Sunni Islam, now we wear these rings with these stones inside, and they have different properties and purposes, and I learned all of this from the Hashem Studios forum. There were lectures on this stuff, and it's fascinating stuff, and I know you yourself are knowledgeable about crystals and stones and gems and their purpose and property and things like this, so this really looks like an interesting area for possible future collaboration.
Yes, it does. So maybe you could share with the viewers a little bit about what was it that pulled you into loving stones so much, and why are stones special? Maybe people listening don't know so much about it, and they think to themselves, well, it's just stones at the end of the day, but it's more than just stones, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can use stones for, they're useful for alchemy. So for example, if you're struggling with something, you can use them to overcome your struggles. For example, if you feel very negative, or you've got a lot of you're very angry and negative, and you're just not feeling at peace, then black stones are really good for that, because they absorb negativity. For example, black tourmaline or obsidian as well. Obsidian is really good for psychic attacks. If you're getting a lot of psychic attacks from the spiritual world, if you carry that around with you, that kind of guards you from that. Also, you can use crystals for manifestation as well, to help with, for example, clear quartz. Clear quartz is a very unique stone because you can program it to vibrate at any frequency you like. So for example, if you, I don't know, you put all your intention in it, and all your focus in it, and you program it to, for example, I don't know, keep you focused, for example, or I don't know, bring you prosperity, or all
interesting.
And each stone correlates with your different chakras in your body. So for example, if you're having trouble with your root chakra, which correlates with safety and survival, and then for example, red jasper is brilliant, and red jasper is really good for long-term benefits. So red jasper is a very unique stone, and you can. It's good to. So it takes a long time to to start, benefiting you, but once it does, when you work with it for a long time, it gives you lifelong benefits, even if you stop working with it or holding it. So that's really good for your root chakra. And I don't know, for example, your solar plexus is about manifestation and willpower. So for example, if you're having issues with productivity, and you need more willpower and more strength, then Libyan desert glass is good. It's yellow because your solar plexus is yellow, right?
It's associated with the yellow color.
Yeah, so working with yellow stones, it will citrine as well. Citrine's a yellow stone. Citrine, Libyan desert glass.
It's amazing that you've really accumulated a lot of knowledge about stones.
I'm still learning.
And you are 24 years old, and you've come to this point in your life where you've done a lot of good for yourself. You've learned a lot, and you've made that investment to look for the truth, and you did find it in the right place. Because what I found so beautiful as well, by the way, I just wanted to say, you said in your journey that you were looking for someone who could guide you, like an imam, and you literally found that person who is doing so right now for you. And I think that's such a beautiful, inspiring part of your story. Many people out there are probably saying to themselves, I wish I had an imam, I wish I had a guide. And just like yourself, just like ourselves, they probably are at that point where they're wondering, well, then who is the imam? But then they find, or they can find, like you did, like we did, there is an imam. And that is the Riser Aba Al-Sadiq. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. I'm very, very blessed to have found my imam finally. And yeah, I'm very blessed. And if anything that it's taught me, it's to never lose faith ever. Because I did come to a very low point where I kind of just lost hope and faith. But now that my faith has got reignited, I should never ever lose it again. Because I've learned from my lessons. I've learned that you have to just be patient. No matter how hard it is.
For sure.
Just know that Allah, the fountain of all goodness, He's always got your back.
Absolutely,
as long as you don't forget about Him, and as long as you remember Him and you thank Him, He's always got your back.
Yes.
And
beautiful.
And trust the process as well. Trust everything, because there's always a higher perspective. There's always a much higher perspective that you can't perceive. You can't, because Allah, He knows everything. He knows the why, how, who, what, everything, But we, with our little perspective and our little minds, we don't know, So we just have to surrender and just trust God.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a beautiful verse in Surah Yusuf. It talks about the prophets and the messengers, and it says something along the lines of, until the messengers thought, until they had given up hope and thought they had been belied, then came to them the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it really seems like this was also true for you, where you reached this stage where there was no hope in sight, but yet you clung on for that extra second or nanosecond, and then suddenly out of the ether appears Brother Taimur, and he's on this mission to bring you to the Imam, and boy did he succeed, and God bless him, because he stayed the course. He saw something in you that was in himself at one stage, and now you're here with us. So it just goes to show that if we are willing to make that effort and go on these forums and talk to people, then they do respond, and you are living proof of this.
Absolutely. And you've come here now today, and you saw the community for the first time. Do you want to share that experience with everyone? What was that like for you to come here and see all this?
Oh my God! I literally I can't describe it. The people here are so wholesome and kind and sincere. I've never felt such love or such connection with anyone, really. And I feel like I found my tribe, So honestly, I'm so grateful. The people here, they have such beautiful adab, such nice adab, and just so caring, and everyone looks out for each other here, and they treat each other like brothers and sisters, you know, because it's not about you know, your physical body, but it's about your soul, and we're all like connected, you know.
Yes,
we're all connected, you know, and they understand that, they can perceive that, you know. So yeah, honestly, like, it was such a beautiful experience to come here and to meet such kind, wonderful, loving people, and yeah, I'm just really excited to get to know more about everyone here, and to build a strong connection with everyone here.
Yes, and we're very excited to get to know you more, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And by the way, I'm really excited to see what you're going to learn from Aba Al-Sadiq in terms of these crystals and stones, because I'll tell you something, Klaudija, I thought I knew medicine and going to medical school and learning all these things, and you know, we have these different ways to diagnose diseases and treat them. But then there's the knowledge of God, you know, that is just beyond material science, and it doesn't make sense logically to us because it's not the way we learned or were trained. And then I'm seeing Aba Al-Sadiq curing diseases left, right and center through things that you would have never dreamt up in your imagination, you know. So this is something I'm really excited about, the way you're going to learn about these different things, and inshallah share them with the world using the knowledge of the riser of the family of Muhammad, because he really is the one who has all the keys to every gate, to every door of knowledge.
Absolutely. And also we were wondering, because you are a believer in this call now, you're part of this global family that we have, would you like to pledge your allegiance in front of the world?
Most definitely.
I actually have it here. I thought maybe you'd like to do that. There we go. You could read it off there. Okay.
Okay, I bear witness that there's no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I bear witness that Ali and the Imams from his sons are the proofs of Allah. I bear witness that the Mahdi and the Mahdis are the proofs of Allah. Upon this I shall live, upon this I shall die, and upon this I shall be resurrected again.
Oh.
Congratulations. That was amazing. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Amazing, and we're just so delighted that you came and you joined us today, and you had this experience with us, and yeah,
welcome to the family.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, if the viewers want to ask anything or to basically discuss anything with us, if you've got a story like Klaudija's, or if you're someone who's wondering at some point in your spiritual journey, what's next and what should I do, there are so many brothers and sisters here with so many stories that will resonate with the world, and we've got people from every background. You've seen people from different nationalities here amongst us here in the community, and if you are interested in knowing more or asking any questions, you can contact us on phone numbers that are on the screen, and also through our official email address, also through our website, which is actually there on the screen for you right now, theahmadireligion.org. So make sure you do so. If you do have anything you'd like to discuss, talk about, if you have a concern, if you just feel alone and you're wondering what's next, if you yourself or someone who, like yourself, Klaudija, feel, where is God right now? Why isn't he answering me? Maybe you need to make that first step to approaching him, and he will answer. Maybe if you just knock on the door will be opened to you, and you'll be absolutely amazed once that door is open. I can guarantee that for a fact.
Yes.
So we're going to wrap up our interview for the day. Thank you once again, Sister Klaudija, for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.